have literally played 2/3 of the entire Runic catalog. Seriously, Runic only released 3 games in its shortened lifespan. So, what happened? Well, to start the story, we will need to go all the way back to February of 1991. Michael Morhaime, Alan Adam, and Frank Pierce had graduated from UCLA a year before and had started a new company, Silicon Synapse. The first couple of years saw the company releasing game ports to other studios, such as The Lord of the Rings. By 1993, the company had started to develop its own games, such as The Lost Vikings, which was published by Interplay. During the same year, another company by the name of Condor was founded by David Brevik and brothers Eric and Max Schaefer. In 1994, Silicon Synapse was acquired by Davidson and Associates, briefly changing the name to Chaos Studios until they finally settled on Blizzard Entertainment. In 1996, Blizzard had acquired Condor. Davidson and Associates renamed Condor to Blizzard North. Despite the name, Blizzard North maintained complete autonomy from Blizzard Entertainment. 9 months later, Blizzard North had released one of the most important games in the industry. That game was Diablo. Diablo was conceived by co-founder and now president of Blizzard North, David Brevik. Brevik had designed Diablo's interface to be as responsive as the 1993 hit Doom. It was initially a hard sell, as the general attitude back then were, RPGs are dead. Blizzard Entertainment took an interest and then they requested for 2 major changes. The first change was to turn it from a turn-based RPG to a real-time action game. The second was to make it multiplayer. In 1996, Blizzard sold the development, publishing, and distribution rights for the console version of Diablo to Electronic Arts. By 1997, Sierra Entertainment released an official expansion pack called Diablo Hellfire. The PlayStation console version of Diablo was released in 1998, developed by Climax Studios. It was infamous for requiring 10 blocks out of 15 of storage space on a standard PlayStation memory card. So, was Diablo any good? It was fantastic, a massive success. It scored an average rating of 94 on Metacritic. GameSpot editor Trent Ward had stated, although a set number of monsters is included, only a few will be seen during each full game. This means that players going back for the second or third shot at the game will very likely fight opponents they haven't seen before. Talk about replay value! The online multiplayer aspect of the game became one of its strongest points. Computer Game Magazine's Cindy Yans said, weapons, armor, and items are so numerous that you're always acquiring something new to try. Not to mention the game's multiplayer universe. The single-player aspect of the game has been often cited as one of its weakest points, which many had felt was too short. Macworld's Michael Gowan wrote, "The only downside to this role-playing game is that the adventure ends too soon." With the success of Diablo under their collective belt, Blizzard released Diablo 2 in 2000 and Diablo 3, despite some controversies, which was released in 2012. The success of Diablo was huge. Several books and comics based on the game series were published. Fast forward to 2003. Bill Roper, along with Max Schaefer, Eric Schaefer, and David Brevik, 5 other software developers would jump ship from Blizzard Entertainment to form Flagship Studios. After the huge success of such a big hit like Diablo, one would have to ask, why the sudden mass resignation of a very talented team of programmers? As it turns out, there was a dispute with Vivendi, Blizzard Entertainment's parent company at the time. The fate of Blizzard, the development team, and the titles had apparently been in doubt. But I digress. On to Flagship Studios. The first game, Hellgate London, was supposed to have been a spiritual successor to Diablo and Diablo 2. It is a game of demon hunting in near-future London. From early previews and screenshots, it looked like to be a heck of a guaranteed hit. According to Stephen Goldstein, the ex-director of business development for Flagship, this wasn't meant to be. In October of 2007, the hype and development for Hellgate London was on overdrive. 60 magazine covers had been secured to promote the game. Worldwide, 6 publishers and 5 co-marketing partners had signed on. This would mean that millions of dollars would be rolling in from this one original game developed by Flagship Studio. 9 months later, over 100 employees have been sacked, Flagship Studios were in trouble paying the bills, and the process began to hand off Hellgate London for someone else to complete. So what went wrong? According to Goldstein, many things went wrong. One of the biggest problems is that Flagship had put all of their eggs in one basket. They haven't considered the possibility of failure. Everything was in Plan A. It was supposed to have been a massive success. There was no Plan B. Flagship Studio, as it turned out, had bought into its own hype. When everyone's telling you how great you are, take a step back and re-evaluate, Goldstein stated. Flagship Studios really had no objective point of view. Everyone was in the trenches. The public had also begun to buy into the hype. The massive marketing campaign resulted in lofty expectations. Goldstein further stated that no matter what we would deliver with Hellgate London, it would be impossible to meet those expectations. Aside from everything being absolutely stuffed into Plan A with virtually no backup plan, another problem with Hellgate London was that it was a very massive feature creep. This was to be a 3D game, a first-person shooter, a subscription-based game. This was to be Flagship's first software-as-a-service title. And if you don't know what that is, think of Google Apps. It was to be released worldwide in 17 different languages, which required 17 different builds of the game. On top of those 17 builds, you have 6 publishers looking to put in something special for their own version of the game. It was a single-player game with a multiplayer component that was split into 2 tiers. You have one tier that was free to play, and the other tier that was subscription based. This is asking a lot for one game, and this was Flagship Studios' first game. What had really killed the game, and in fact Flagship Studios as a whole, was that it passed on investment. That's right. They were given money, and they didn't take it. In the best case scenario, that money could have given about 4 to 5 months of development time and studio life. It might have saved the company. There were other notably bad decisions, such as when it was decided to charge a subscription of $10 a month. This is on top of the $50 box price of Hellgate London. Now, think of it this way. Suppose you were to spend $50 for a new, off-the-shelf copy of the game, then spend 1 year on the subscription service. You're looking at $170 that you had spent in total. The worst part about this is the content updates from the subscription service would be lost forever once you stop your subscription. That's a lot of money down the drain. Had Hellgate London had used micropayments instead of a subscription service, so it goes, a gamer would have spent a fraction of the cost and probably would have kept all the content. A lot of people were pissed off and a lot of pre-orders were cancelled. So was Hellgate London ever released? Yes. Kind of. The game was finally released on Flagship on October 2007. By 2008, Flagship Studios had filed for bankruptcy. The IP was seized as collateral, and development of the game was halted. Later that year, Korean-based software distributor Hanbitsoft had announced that it had acquired Hellgate London and Mythos, which we will get to soon. Afterwards, Hanbitsoft announced completion of the redeveloped Hellgate London, authorized by the former Flagship Studios. So, how were the reviews like? They were alright, but was certainly not the best showing. Metacritic gave it only 71% based on 39 reviews. Game Rankings gave it a 70% rating based on 42 reviews. We had already reviewed some of the game's biggest problems. So was there anything good about it? Well, the story for one, the overall look of the game for another, and that was all anyone could ever really agree upon. Other elements, including combat, quests, and even the multiplayer aspects of the game, were all either praised or criticized, with buggy code, slowdown, and crashes being reported. Before moving on to Mythos, we must briefly talk about the man who led its development. That man is Travis Baldree. Travis Baldree is the creator of the RPG Fate. Fate is similar in style to Diablo, using a similar interface, map, and item randomization. It has been noted that Fate bears a strong resemblance to Diablo, and Travis Baldree was hired onto the staff of Flagship Studios based solely on his work on this game. By 2006, Travis headed up an offshoot of the studio and began work on Mythos. Several other members of the Fate development team would end up joining Travis. Mythos is an MMO, free-to-play download with additional pay options set in a fantasy world. It was similar in style to Diablo, and has been used as a testing bed for Hellgate London's networking technology. As mentioned before, the IP for Mythos, along with Hellgate London, would be sold to Korean game company Hanbitsoft. Hanbitsoft took up and continued development of Mythos for eventual release in South Korea and North America. Under Hanbitsoft, the game went open beta and then on sale of April 2011. By October 2011, the plug was pulled on European servers. On February 2012, the open beta of Mythos Global was launched, which had lasted for a whole of 2 years before the servers were forever turned off on January 2014. With Flagship Studios now dissolved, the development team made one final attempt to stay together. That came in the form of Relic Entertainment. The team had sought to, quote, finish what they had started. Alas, they no longer had the rights to Mythos, none of the code, and none of the art assets. They had to start all over from scratch. Their vision now was to create an MMORPG with gameplay similar to their other prior projects, Mythos and Diablo. Before all that, they decided to release a polished game that they can complete in less than a year. This ends the first part of the story of Runic, Torchlight 2, and Hog. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for part 2.